Yo, what's up, everyone? It is the Beast, Brian London, and welcome to my channel, The Beast On. Now, you're wondering, all right, what's he going to talk about today? Is it the sports? Is it what's he getting into? Because I've developed a theme on the channel, is the Canes, and today it starts something different. We're going to go with a once weekly thing. Let's just get into it. The Beast On, my unemployment diaries. That's where we're going, and this is episode 1. So once a week, I'm going to take you through the different aspects of being unemployed, because I think there's a lot of you out there that are like me and either don't have a job, working part-time jobs, have been in my situation, certainly might unfortunately be in the situation where you're unemployed. And I feel like I want to be, not only is it going to be cathartic for me to discuss my situation, but also it's a way for me to relate with all of you out there that might be looking for someone that's in the same shoes, right? As we go through life, we're always looking to find people that we bond with that are in the same shoes as us. And a lot of times we're in situations where we think, or we feel like we're the only one. And if we're not the only one, we're the only one that we know. And I just want you to know, if you're out there and you don't have a job, or you just recently lost your job, or you've been through this before, that you've got me. And I'm going to go through this with you, and you're going to go through it with me. And that's what this is all about. So I could sit here and do this for hours and days, but that's not going to be helpful or a good use of your time. So I've decided to divide this up, this whole thing, which is basically me like writing in my diary, but instead I'm talking to this camera and talking to you because I like you for watching. Thank you. So before we get on with it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And as I've told a lot of people, my channel is going to be all over the place, and it's probably not the best way to go, right? They tell you to find something and stick with it. Review televisions, and boom, you'll become a millionaire with YouTube. Review cars, yachts, faucets, how-to videos. How do you fix this? How do you do that? That's the way you're supposed to go with these YouTube channels. And me, I'm all over the place. Maybe I should have like 27 YouTube channels, but I figured I want to keep all the content here. What I want you to do is subscribe to the channel. Just click the little subscribe button. It's right there. And then hit the bell. Hit the little bell. Ding! And then when I make a new video, it'll tell you, hey, Beast has a new video. Brian's got a new video. Now, if you see the topic and it doesn't relate to anything you care about, you don't have to watch it. We have choices in this world, what we do with our time. Certainly, not everything I do is going to be of interest to you. I do a lot of stuff with the Miami Hurricanes and the football team. If that's not for you, don't worry about it. I do a lot of stuff on just things that are happening in the world. If that doesn't interest you, don't worry about it. It's fine, but subscribe. I promise you I'm going to strike gold with you every once in a while, and you'll find something that interests you. So let's start this. Back in November, I don't know if it was the 11th or 12th. I actually forget. I think it was a Wednesday. Well, let's rewind. For a long time, I was employed by a radio station in this market. I started interning there in April of 97, got hired in November of 99. So I interned for like 2.5 years, which would never be allowed today. And I did it for no money. I interned for free, for no money. And I showed up every day, as many hours as I could do, because I just wanted to be on the radio, and I just wanted to work in radio, and I worked my ass off on it, and came on days I wasn't even scheduled to come. I just showed up to the radio station for 2.5 years until one day, the program director at the time, thank you, Duff Lindsay, you rock, called me and said, hey, our overnight board op is sick. Can you come in and do it? And because I'd just been there every day for 2.5 years, and my board skills were awesome, and I could do everything in the radio station that everyone else could do, he could trust me. And I went in and I did the overnight shift, and boom, I was hired at the lovely rate of $5.60 an hour. Go figure on the number. And there's where my radio career started. Board opping, which is running the board, pushing the buttons on the radio, and producing and helping out with all the big time sports talk shows. And my career grew from there, getting on the air, eventually doing sports updates and talk shows, and then becoming the sideline reporter for the University of Miami football games, and being on the basketball broadcast and the baseball broadcast, and doing all of that, and feeling like I was starting to make it in this world. And man, I'm starting to accomplish what I set out to accomplish when I decided I wanted to go into broadcasting. Now, originally, when I wanted to go into broadcast, I thought I was going to be the next Howard Stern. That obviously didn't turn out. But everyone wanted to be, at one point in time, I think in the 90s, everyone wanted to be Howard or the morning zoo guy or the guy that does the wacky stuff on the radio. And I was no different. And I always was a sports fan. I never really knew I wanted to do sports radio until I was really in high school, when I was listening to the radio more to help me fall asleep. I'd be listening to Red Sox games or Bruins games, what have you, up in Boston to help me fall asleep. And I was like, man, I'd like to do that. But it wasn't something I grew up from the days of yore wanting to do. So I go through the University of Miami, I get my internship, I get hired, I get my first job. I move my way up in my first job. I'm working at that place of business until 2009, until August 1st, 2009 was my last talk show on that place, on that station. And then I was let go. And it literally felt like someone had killed me, stabbed me, ended my life. It was the worst because, especially at the time, because I still believe, that it was a personal thing between me and somebody else. And I don't want to really get into that much, but it definitely hurt. Especially because at the time I just started, we just had a baby that was just over a year old, was maybe 18 months old. Zach was only 18 months old, and you have a young family, and it was 2009. We're in the middle of the worst recession, and you don't have a job. And it was the most depressing thing ever. Especially because of the relationships that were involved. And it took me a while. I did some work for my dad. I tried to do an online radio show, The Beast Show, with my good friend Allison Turner. A bunch of stuff I tried to do. Nothing really stuck. And all I wanted to do was just to get back into big time radio. Because, hey, I'm the Beast. I'm known throughout South Florida. I need to get back on the radio. That's what I need to do. And it wasn't until August of 2012. So basically, let's see, 3 straight years, 10, 11, 12, yeah, that I was able to get back in on a radio station again, where a guy named Todd Castleberry, he was the program director of the other sports station, and I was calling this guy and emailing this guy and going after this guy after years of nobody giving me a chance. I mean, I was reaching out to every program director, every owner, every GM, everybody. No one wanted to give anyone a chance, not unless you wanted to buy the time, and I didn't have the wherewithal to do that. So I just wanted a gig, man. I just wanted to come in and do anything. And Todd Castleberry was running the station at the time. I called and emailed this guy for weeks, and finally I had to do something that my good friend Mark Vandermeer, who's now the play-by-play voice of the Texans, did to get the job when he became the voice of the Miami Hurricanes back in 1999, which is he sent a load of pizzas to the boss, and that got the attention. So what did I do? Called up my good friend Brad at Tony's Pizzas on 441 and had Brad put my resume and a cover letter on a pizza and sent 12 pizzas to the station, to the program director, Todd Castleberry. And he had to call me back. He did, and he said, you know what, Brian, I'll meet you for lunch. I'll meet you for breakfast. I owe you a meeting. And once he got me in front of him, obviously I was convincing enough, and he hired me on the spot to start doing some part-time stuff, talk shows, and then I was doing late night shows after Heat games, and then I became the executive producer of the midday show, and then that turned into me another show where I got on the show, and it got to the point where I became program coordinator, which was, I don't know what that really meant, other than I was I was kind of managerial, but not enough managerial to be managerial. And then finally I thought I made it. I was the assistant program director and on a big time morning show with three people I love dearly in Brendan Tobin, Leroy Horde, and Robbie Cambo. I thought I had made it. I thought this was it. This was the deal. This is what I slaved for 20 years to get to this point. Not making really any money. Wasn't in it for the money. Barely enough, with my wife being a teacher for us to survive. But professionally, this is where I wanted to be. In programming and on the air. I mean, it couldn't get any better, really. And we were cranking along. And the company I was with, a year or two before, had merged with another company. And I think as we look back at the way that was done from a corporate standpoint, I think it didn't go over as well as maybe it was supposed to. And tough business decisions had to be made because of that. And on a Wednesday, after a great show, we were supposed to have a show meeting. We were going to talk about Super Bowl stuff and big things. I'm walking around our brand new offices, and I get tapped on the shoulder by my boss and the big boss and say, follow them. And we're going into the HR guy's office, and I knew it. I said, this is it. I was told that, due to the economic issues with the company, my position was eliminated. I'll get to that in a second. And literally it was a 10-second conversation. I got a pat on the back, and then the door was shut, and I was handed all of this paperwork that had obviously been printed days and prepared days before, because it was all typed out and printed and done and prepared and all of that stuff. And I was now without a job. And I was so shaken, I left. I was basically escorted out, not forcefully, but someone walked with me everywhere I went and took me to the elevators and escorted me out the front door with a slap on the back. I left my house keys at my desk. That's what I felt. When I got to my car, I crafted a quick statement on my notes app and put it on social media because I wanted to be the one to dictate the story before anyone else did. I texted my mom, my dad, my wife, my kid, said, hey, just lost my job. And then I put it out on social media so that everyone would get the message from me before getting it from anyone else. The awkward thing is that what I didn't know is that 3 other people would be let go that day. And that the company itself wouldn't send out any communication about any of it. So the only way my coworkers and former coworkers would know is from social media. So I had 8 million people texting and calling me like, what do you mean you just got let go? No one said anything to us. And that was kind of interesting. So let's go back, because what I want to focus on in this episode, and I'm going to do it real quick, is just the act of being let go. The first time I was let go in 2009, it was for different reasons. It was definitely not it was a personal vendetta, really. But at least the big boss at the time had the decency to pull me into his office and have a conversation with me and let me talk to that person. And Joe Bell, I thank you for that. Obviously, I didn't agree with the decision, and I was lied to by a lot of people about some stuff, and I found out about that later. But at least at the moment that I lost my job in 2009, someone had the cojones to sit there and listen to me vent for a moment or two about what a crappy decision this was, how did this happen, all of this stuff. This time around, no such cojones existed. It was, hey, we eliminated your position, pat on the back, doors shut. And you're just left in astonishment. And I get it. Like, you know, having served as a bit of a manager myself, I know that one of the most uncomfortable things that you could possibly do is let someone go, right? You feel horrible. You feel guilty. I can't imagine the feelings you feel. But put yourself on the other end of that. And most of you have been on the other end of that. That's the lowest moment in someone's life, usually. I mean, unless you get some sort of horrible health diagnosis or someone passes away. I mean, being let go from a job, and in today's society, in today's country, like, a lot of our identity comes with what we do for a living, especially when you're in media and entertainment, right? A lot of people know me as the Beast, the guy from the radio. And here it is, in the snap of a finger, I just lost that. I just lost being the guy on the radio. And I didn't get more than 15 seconds with the people that had made the decision. Now, I can understand if you felt like I was going to be some sort of, I was going to be a physical threat, or I was going to cause a ruckus. But I feel like the people that knew me and made the decision would know that I'm an adult and I could handle this thing responsibly. And I thought I deserved more than 10 seconds of someone's time, to be honest with you. It was really callous. And on a moment where my life changes, where the life of my family changes, where now I have to start worried about how's the electric's going to stay on, how are the bills going to get paid, how is my son going to have enough money to sign up for soccer, all of this stuff, rent, all of this stuff. In one heartbeat, that changes. And I got no more than 15 seconds of time. And listen, I get it. It's hard. I could see the angst in the big boss and my direct boss's face for having to let me go. Whether it was for the reason they said, which was, position eliminated, or something else. And maybe I'll never know. But, you want to be decent to someone in that situation. And let them, there's a process there. And it's not like they're going to do anything. They're not going to rehire me. I get that, but at least give me the time of day to let my feelings be known or say goodbye or, thank them for the opportunity. Have a conversation. Treat people like humans. And when you go through a life change, put it to you this way. And if you were a doctor, and you had to tell someone that they had a horrible diagnosis, would you just do it and walk away? No, you wouldn't. That'd be terrible. You'd be looked at as a subhuman person. Why is that any different than telling someone, hey, you just lost the way you make your income, which is the way you live, and I'm going to give you 10 to 15 seconds of my time? That seemed wrong. And it's still upsetting to me. Because I think the people that did it are better people than that. It bothers me that not that anything was going to be changed and not that it would have done anything, but it would have made me feel like, all right, they care about me as a person, even though they had to make this tough decision. Instead, what I felt like was, I'm just a number. I'm just the latest casualty of corporate crap. And it's horrible. And at least I learned that lesson, that if I'm ever in management again, if I'm ever responsible for people again, and I have to make the same tough decision, I know how not to let someone go, which is literally 15 seconds of their time and a pat on the back. That's not the way to get it done. Still really hurt by it, to be honest with you. Still really hurt. So, get let go, get escorted out of the building, go down to the car, send out the social media, tell my family, and just started driving home with all these mixed emotions. And I'm a 43-year-old male, and I cried the entire way home because it wasn't just a job for me. This was, again, part of my identity. I felt like I had part of me taken away. If you're, and I always say this, right? And I always tell people this or try to convey this. If you're a lawyer or an accountant or a doctor or a plumber, or you have a profession where it doesn't matter where you work, you can still do it as good, then it's a little bit different. Like if you're an accountant and you work for some big accounting firm and that firm lays you off for financial reasons, well, certainly there's a million other firms that you can go be an accountant at, right? Yeah. If you're a plumber and the plumbing company closes, you can go be a plumber somewhere else. But when you're in radio, when you've got one of a very select few number of jobs because of consolidation in this market where you want to be, and you're let go, like there's nowhere for me to go. Like I can't just walk next door and do what I was doing. I mean, if I wanted to move, I could, but how do you uproot your family and just move? We'll get into that in later episodes about what's next and all of that stuff. But it's a life-changing thing, and it's more life-changing when you realize that an opportunity just ended and you may not ever have another one like that, ever. That can be difficult to handle. So the drive home, the sitting on the couch, the crying, talking to my parents, my wife. I had to call my wife, interrupt her in class because I didn't want her to find out some other way. And yeah, it was horrible. And I think, the thing I want to convey in this episode is a couple of things. One, if you're a manager, if you're ever in the position where you have to let someone go, and now, look, if you have to let someone go because they did something on the job that's so outlandish and ridiculous that they know it's coming, that's one thing. Like, if I had gone on the radio and said fuck 100,000 times, I'm going to lose my job. And I'm not going to expect people to feel bad about it because I could cost the radio station their license. I get it. If I had assaulted a coworker, if there was some sort of sexual harassment situation, if there was something so blatant that, yeah, man, I can't blame you for firing me, I deserve to be gone, I get it. But if we're just, at least if I'm being told my job is being eliminated, and even if that's maybe not what it was, I'm not quite sure because they don't really have to tell you, and they certainly didn't take the time to tell you. If you're letting someone go, like, treat them like a human and take the time and give them a chance to speak with you about it. And even though it may take an extra 5 or 10 minutes of your day and it may be really uncomfortable for you, just know that that person will thank you and respect you a lot more than when you just say, hey, sorry, bye now, and let the guy with the paperwork take over because you don't have the cojones or whatever the female version of that is, tatas, to sit around and talk for a few. Yeah, it makes you feel subhuman. And I think the other thing is, I think is, man, it's hard. Just know that the impact you're making on their life is way worse than how uncomfortable you feel making that impact. So there's that. So that was my day being fired. And it sucked. I'm in a better place now than I was after I was let go in 2009. I'm more of an adult now. I have ideas and thoughts and a lot of people on my side. That'll all come out in later episodes of this. But if you've just been let go and you have similar experiences, I'd love to hear from you. If you were let go and have similar experiences, I'd love to hear from you. And God forbid you are let go, come back to this video and listen to me talk to you. It's the worst day ever. And I'm not going to say that it gets a hell of a lot better because I haven't found a job yet. Still looking. Although I don't know what I want to do exactly. That's for another time. But know that like the horrific nature of that single moment and that day does get better. There is a way to turn it into a positive. And that'll be something we cover on the next time. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Again, please subscribe to the channel. I can't urge you enough to subscribe. Just subscribe. It doesn't take much. It's totally free. You just subscribe. I just need to get as many subscribers as possible and hit the little bell. And if I make videos you like watching, great. And if I never make another video that you like to watch again, let me know and I'll do something just for you. You can always follow me on all the social media at Miami Radio Beast. And furthermore, if you really want to support me and my endeavors, which I have coming up, and again, I'll talk about that in another episode later, you can go to support me and invest in me. Invest in the Beast at patreon.com/Brian the Beast London. All right, guys and gals and everybody, whatever you identify as, use your correct pronoun. I'm the Beast. I'll see you when I see you. Peace.